The stock market sold off today. Finally, people are starting to wake up to things being a little overbought, but we are going to talk about why I think a crash is coming, but why it's not here right now. In fact, we're going to jump back into the NASDAQ, but just to talk a little bit about it now, we're going to jump ahead start. I was in the NASDAQ short, NQ future short, QQQ puts, and SQQQ, and it would have been a complete hat trick, an absolute home run, except the QQQ puts. I was in 492 puts for this Friday. Had gapped up in the morning. I had sold them just a few minutes after the bell. Trailed the rest, ended up just being amazing. The options, I just didn't want to go from green to red. It's a lot harder to trail those. Man, looking back, that would have absolutely killed it. I'm a little bit upset about that. But again, we're going to talk about the dollar, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, everything like we normally do in the live streams. But I will say right now, I am long the NQ. I'm in QQQ calls, and I'm in TQQQ. We got to kill it. We have to. The dollar. All right. In this weekly zone. Okay, so I tagged out of my US dollar short. So I was in US dollar Japanese yen short. I gave it as many benefits of the doubt as I could. Ultimately, that did tag out though. And I was just gonna wait for the reversal. Just a red candle. This has been an absolute blast up. But largely, we've seen this game before. We've been around these levels quite a bit. So I'm not in it back in a short position just yet. But I do see myself being in it before this zone actually breaks to the downside. Ultimately, this is a weekly zone right here. This yellow zone is a daily zone inside there, so I don't if it pops back up, comes back down, don't care. It'd be hard not to go short at this type 2 right there at the top of that zone. So watching for that. As far as the US dollar Japanese yen goes, this is a monthly zone, kind of just retesting that for now. Which is fine actually. Hopefully it does put in a lower high. Again, still very much like this as a short play. But again, if you are new, yes, I do trade Forex. I trade all asset classes. Forex is a much higher time frame, much slower play for me. So you're not going to see the ins and outs. There's a lot of volatility. Again, Forex is where banks go to manipulate other banks. So you're either on that wave or you're not even collateral damage. Like you just get dusted on that one. So be careful for anybody doing that. All right, Bitcoin hanging out. We did a little bit of the back and forth. I still think this is going to be a bigger move. We sold off today. We're trying to hold this, but again, Bitcoin I think is more of a disposable asset kind of thing. And with the market selling off, like I can see some fear kind of just creeping into this. I do think, however, Bitcoin just might be making a move up soon, which is why I bought more Beto. I buy Bitcoin every week. It's just not something that I trade. So I do have more Bitcoin. I do have more Beto. I have not. I need to grab. I kind of want to grab a lot of Mara, but haven't done that yet. But what do you think about Starbucks and Save? I'll have to get into that. What's up to the TikTok crew? What's happening, everybody? TikTok already killing it with almost 500 likes. Where's YouTube at? Not at 500. All right, jump into it. The S&P 500. You got to really zoom in here. So I know TikTok once called these yellow boxes meaningless, but had you just watched them, we did go from yellow zone to yellow zone. That is actually a wick all the way down there for the mobile users. Dropped all the way down there, bounced at the magic yellow box, and currently right now seeing some sellers there. Again, these are like the areas of attention. This is where if I was looking for a trade, I would take one. Again, I'm in the NASDAQ. I'm not in the ES contract right now. Overall, futures do close for an hour. On the open, it actually gapped back up. Currently gave all that back. I do expect this to be up. but we went sideways forever. Now, I will say the NASDAQ gave more of a hint than anything else, but the Magnificent Seven is probably what drove all of this anyway. It certainly wasn't the. We can talk about financials right now. Yeah, financials didn't do anything. Now, financials really drove the Russell, and I think bled into the S&P, while the NASDAQ was selling off quite a bit ago. We had some amazing days. Not it right here. As far as the S&P goes. Now, these are these lines I draw every Sunday. So I am live. I'm adding TikTok to the mix. So I'm live on both. But if for some reason I'm not on TikTok, you can see these every Sunday on YouTube at Don Fron Trading. And it's not from FROM. My last name is FRON. So on the YouTube search, Don space from is trending. So there might actually be a change to just DF trading. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But either way, we got outside the expected move. I thought we were a little oversold, so I bought it, nailed the absolute bottom, again, going to the NASDAQ, but we reined it right back in. The important thing again, with these ranges, this is where market makers have their risk basically planned out for the week. This is all the options data, all the trades, everyone's order flow, all priced in. As far as delta hedging goes, they have it figured out up to these levels. Again, it's you and institutions. We get outside these levels, it's you, the institutions, and the market makers. So now instead of delta hedging, they have to rein it back in, or we get saddled up for that 2 standard deviations. So reined it back in, and right now what's on the table is, do we just bring this thing all the way back up? Was this just a bear trap getting them excited, or are we going to go down to the 2 standard deviations? If we get back outside there, I think the 2 standard deviations would be on the table, and you'll end up seeing that like a vacuum down. It can get pretty volatile right there. Let's see where the S&P was. SPY 2 standard deviations down 570.45. So let's get that out here. All right, so that's 2 standard deviations down. Now, if we got out here again, typically when we get this far, I usually will sell. I like $2 spreads, but I would sell like a put spread for the end of the week. Anytime we get to that 1.5 standard deviation mark, I'm usually selling put spreads or credit spreads, right? So credit to my account, I make money, and I look for the bounce, or at least we kind of stay inside here. 95% chance we stay inside 2 standard deviations anyway, but they're kind of useless, worthless until we get to that level, and then the volatility really ramps up. Jumping into the NASDAQ. I think I probably have to pull up the let's see. I'm trying to pull up exactly what I said and when. Give me one hot second. Try to see when I bought the NASDAQ. Grab TQQQ 126. It's 126 my time. It's a central time, real people time. So at 115. Let me bring this into the screen here. Try not to make everybody famous. I don't know if they want to be on here. Can we? It doesn't make the text bigger, huh? It just makes it. I don't know how to make this share on YouTube. I know TikTok can see it. Give me 1 second. Where are we at? That's it. There we go. All right. So just to point out right here why I called this out. So as I'm going long here, 115, 4 hour, we just broke the zone, hoping / playing it ends up in a wick. So Let's just make this a little bit bigger for everybody. This is what it looked like. Completely thought we were oversold. Kind of think we'd overdone it. So that's when I went long, seeing that. And I want people to see this because this can be risky. We just completely blasted through there, but we're outside the expected move. We have almost 3 hours left for that candle to end, but those yellow zones are a 4-hour zone, so it matters when that candle actually ends. I don't think a lot of people really understand how these zones work or how they can use them to your advantage. They're just areas of attention, right? So I plan on things being right. So that's what it looked like when I went long, and I'm just trailing it right now, and that's ultimately what it ended up looking like. Hang on, was that QQQ? No, that was zones. So there we go. Go to the 4-hour. What do you know? Ends up being green. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out. I'll have to find it. I don't like scrolling through the whole chat. I'll show you guys my message. I don't care about that. I don't know if I'm gonna search. I want to say it was right around the same time, but what I had told everybody in the chat today was that we're breaking this horizontal pattern. I want to see around what time so I can show you guys where we were at in the actual chart. Okay, it was at 11. At 11:06. Let's go to 11 o'clock my time. Okay, so right here at this candle, we're making this candle right here. So technically all we have is this. Now I told everybody this horizontal pattern is breaking right now. Because right here, we said we're starting to like squeeze. Here's our horizontal pattern. And I mean it was borderline hilarious because Cody, my admin, he went long, short, and he just went zone to zone, zone to zone. And I even joked, how many times can we say zone to zone in the stream tonight? Right here was just zone to zone, zone to zone, zone to zone. I mean, literally just playing it back. This is the 15-minute time frame, just playing the back and forth game. But I had said we'd made a higher high and a lower low. We're done with this horizontal pattern. And if we bounced right here, I didn't know we were going to sell off. I said, hey, where were my exact words? I'm saying if we bounce at this zone now and it goes to the top, it's going to continue. If we bounce in a lower high and comes down, it's going to continue. Try to tell everybody this horizontal pattern is toast. These buyers and sellers are no more. Ended up finding out it was toast after all, but right then and there, we didn't really get the bounce until this lower zone down here. So it's important to know these things. Because that's why someone will say, oh, that zone didn't work. We blasted right through it. You just don't know what you're doing or what you're looking for. Ultimately, you're looking for buyers and sellers and what's going on at these levels. You have to take the whole kind of story into place. But anyway, that's the moves I made. That's why I'm long. And since I bought it down here, I'm long everything. I'm just long one NASDAQ contract. I even thought about hedging and going like the one cool thing about futures is I'll go long in Q, but if I see like a pullback, maybe I'm long in the 4-hour time frame, but 15 minutes, I think we might pull back. I'll go short, like 5 in Q, the mini contract or the micros, because those won't actually affect each other, and it's kind of a good way to just play the multiple time frames. I'm not anything like that, but I am curious right now if this zone's going to reject. And then we come down further. Personally, I don't think that's the case. I think the NASDAQ will end up being up. We get the bears excited, shakes everybody out. But the thumbnail is not clickbait. I do think a crash is coming. So there's a video hopefully coming out. I want to talk to a couple other even YouTubers I think need some attention. Talk to them about a crash, hedging, what you can do to prepare. We know what I'm going to do, but as a trader, I'll play that trend, and there's many ways to trade it on the way down. But as far as like you have a portfolio, you just don't, there's shares you're just not going to let go. You don't have to just ride it all the way down and get absolutely wrecked. There's a lot of things you can do to, don't want to say save face, because ultimately you're going to ride it down and back up, assuming what you picked does come back up, which is a very big assumption I don't think a lot of people take into consideration. And then it never comes back up, and then just sucks. XLU looking good. Yeah, what is XLU doing real quick? Huh. Most of you guys, if you're not in my group or you're not on like the Patreon following the plays, because I do post everything that I do, and for the last 2 years, there's been 4 losses. That's it. Up thousands, down a couple hundred on those losses. Now, I bought XLU, it was 81.50, something like that. And my chat could not wait to roast me that night and tell me how it was going to be red the next day. Now, I bought it right here. So the next day, what I bought? Oh, I bought it right here. I bought the dip right here. The next day, it was technically red by a few pennies. And then today, it's green. And I did post a screenshot for this. What do you know about that? I just happened to catch this. TikTok can't see it. That's XLU at the top. The one green ticker, everything else is red. That's right. Get wrecked. That's why you guys aren't making the videos. I just couldn't wait to make fun of my chat for that. Because, man, they were going hard. Anyway, I wanted to be something outside of tech, again, because we are in tech. We have a lot of NVIDIA right now, and it's doing well. But I want to have something not tech, because I do think things are about to pull back. And I just want to have a little bit different exposure in there. All right, jumping back into the stream real quick. As far as the NASDAQ, we went right down to the expected move. Again, reined it in. Coincidentally bounced on this trend line. Trend lines are not something I play. Again, this is my homework. I have all the screen and the real estate of my monitors, and when I'm on my phone later, that's all I can see. So I know, like, hey, we're making higher lows along this path. I'm not waiting to buy right there on that trend or anything like that. But it did bounce off that. It ain't over till it's over. We have time to be right. Well, worst case scenario, it'll be my 5th loss in 2 years. That's gonna suck though. But no, we're gonna be all right on that one. As far as the Russell goes, I said I'd rather wait to go short up here. I don't know if there really is a Russell play right now. If anything, you'd have to go long for an oversold bounce, and you'd watch out for that zone. If you're going to go long Russell futures, you should have already probably caught that knife right here, because going long, putting a stop way down here, just for a take profit right up here, I don't know. It might just take. You're going to put your stop down here because that's kind of where you'd have to as far as like risk management goes. But it's just going to take longer to tag out. Let's see. Save was amazing today. We were in last week at $1.40. Let's go over Save, because people are asking about that in the chat. What's his name again? Gosh, the analyst everyone keeps talking. Tom Lee. Tom Lee is about to have one of the most impressive comebacks ever. This red line, guys, is not anything I expect. It's what Tom Lee and all the YouTubers just could not stop making YouTube videos about. He said IWM at the end of the year is going to be 300. And I don't know why I chose to just zero in on that one. It's not like the guy's perfect. And I've heard some good things about Tom Lee, so I'm not actually making fun of him. But when you think this red line, just know that's Tom Lee's, not mine. And I'm more making fun of all the YouTubers that just etched that in stone. Tom effing Lee. Anyway, if it ends up at 300, that would be one of the most impressive runs ever. Let's talk about Save real quick. Suave. Airlines, absolutely killing it. Let's see, earnings. I don't know why that's not posted. So from $1.40 up, yeah. I personally was not in that. Just the guys in my chat, I want to give a shout out to them. They were absolutely killed it. I would rather probably short this thing. Guys, anytime, we'll call penny stocks in general, if it's under $10, there's a different crowd for stocks that are that cheap. Outside of Ford, that's $10 because it's got 9 trillion shares out there, right? The cheaper stuff, It's what gets shared a lot on Instagram and Wall Street Bets because your percentage wise is absolutely killing it if you catch one of these. But it is priced that way for a reason. Oh, there's a merger with Frontier. I don't know. Uh, I don't play these. It's rare that I do. I guess I do play them. It is just very rare. But if it looks like this, you're gonna need some good news. Um, let's see. Trying to make sure there's anybody talking about it. Sorry, someone's asking something in the chat. Just curious on real money or funded with somebody. Me? No, real money. All I need is $5 merger price, and I'm rich. Two crap airlines don't make a good one. I I don't know. Airlines have absolutely been going off. Here's the airlines ETF. And what was it? What was the other one? Is it AAL and UAL? And I guess a seasonality trade. I guess outside of this one with merger news. If it goes to 5, yeah, you would double your money and you would be rich. Um, so how I do things is where's your entry, right? I don't care what your story is. I don't care if it's crap stocks, and I don't call them crap to belittle anybody. They're just a crap company. Or their stock price at least reflects that, right? It's priced that way for a reason. There is a reason Google, Amazon, Tesla was $3,500, or did Tesla only make it to 2,500 before all the splits? Apple's like 40,000 if you took away all the splits, 40,000 a share, something crazy. There's a reason why. Okay, there's a reason why this is $2. But you have your story, right? For whatever reason, I don't care if it's the tooth fairy told you, and you have a realistic like take profit. Hey, where could I realistically see this thing going before I see a bunch of sellers just taking over the order book? And then you have where do I get out? Turns out the tooth fairy was wrong. That stock tip, that hot tip, the YouTuber was wrong. You know, whatever it is, that's your get out point. This particular one, my get out point would probably be zero. I would say $1.20. If I were to put a stop at $1.20, I would expect a fill at $1.10 because if it's melting down, it's going to suck. If it's gapping down and crashing, the merger deal doesn't go through. This thing's going to evaporate. The crappy part is it's not going to be during hours. You're just going to get obliterated and you're going to wake up to it. Uh, let's just say I would put it at a dollar. We'll put my risk at $1. So that's $1.82 per share. If you want to risk $10, you're only going to buy 5 shares. That's it. Maybe a lot of times on this, you'll hear me say my risk is zero. Risk in capital means I'm about to lose $2.82 a share. The reason why you haven't heard me just get devastated or blow an account and I got to start over, it is because you just can't lose your ass if you don't put it on the line in the first place. The most people will blow their account because they just have no idea what they're doing. They're putting way too much in one ticker. It gets annihilated, and that was their whole account. There is no coming back. There is just you get your little coin purse out, put the next coin in, and pull that lever again, and see if you do something different the next time. And there's a lot of gambling people out there that really fund traders' accounts. So something like that's just what I would have to consider. It's just where's my stop going to be at on this, and it would have to be way down there. James says I want access to Robinhood Legends. I haven't had a chance to check out Robinhood Legends, but I have heard a lot of good things about this. I made money with Save, then gave it all back and then some. It is on my never trade this stock again list. Oh no. Um, love Southwest. Gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I would trade these. I was in last week, a little over $1.40. Sold half today at 3. Running the rest. Have sold calls. Nice. Sold calls at 4. So if it shoots up and you sell it at 4, you're still killing it. It's a good position to be in. All right. I know Tesla's going to have its own video. I'm going to record it after this. Uh, I really thought Tesla's earnings was going to be the reason this thing was going to drop, which is why it's going to get its own video. I did not grab puts today. The market had my attention today, so honestly, I probably would have grabbed Tesla puts if I was going to gamble this. And anybody in your there's going to be a lot of videos about Tesla earnings and how somebody knew. Uh, I'm here to tell you it was a 50-50 shot, right? There's going to be an announcement. It's going to go up or down. It's a binary event, whether it's guidance, whether they didn't beat. This, I assume, is a guidance issue. I haven't really looked it up. I know as far as revenue, they did miss there. 300 million looks like. Oh, it even says 286 million. I'm over here doing the math, and the number's literally right here. All right. Anyway, as far as earnings per share, the estimated 60 cents, we'll call it that. They reported 72 cents. I'm going to assume more guidance. I know it was quarter over quarter. From what it sounds like, this was the first quarter, I think, that they actually had delivery growth. Anyway, I'm going to do a better video on Don Fran's show going about this. That is just it is now my AI. So anything AI related tickers going to go on there. You were thinking about TSLL. That is a leveraged one. It would, if you wanted some leverage, you can go with Tesla options, or there is a leveraged ETF, TSLL, which supposed to track. It's supposed to do 2 times what Tesla does. This one I would keep it tight. Not that I'm not a Tesla bull. I have a lot of Tesla shares, but does this fade away? We are outside the expected move. What I would really want to see first, even just as a trend trader, and guys, that's if you really want to know how to win, it's not magic. You can just play the trend, and you'll beat a lot of the people, right? I catch knives like a circus freak. That's just my thing. But if you're not a knife catcher, you trying to be a knife catcher will guarantee that you won't be here next year. I would say let this thing pull back and let it hold this zone. Let it hold above 230 and then buy the higher low. Right now you're asking for it. If you're long this, you gotta at least trail it, give it a fighting chance. I would watch out for that 245-ish area, and then see if it pulls back. But shout out to Tesla for finally breaking this range right here. Now, anytime you guys see me draw out these red lines, that is a range bound. We're just kind of sideways waiting. And the break and the close above or below is usually your signal, but we absolutely decimated that. So now, first and foremost, you want to see it pull back and hold. You want to see it, think of this like a ratchet, right? It just makes the clicking noise and it doesn't go any further. It needs to be above this, click, and then not come back down. If Tesla gives all of this back, it's probably a decent short opportunity. And it's not because you're chasing it. It's because we went this high and not a single person thought that's a good idea. Every one of them sold into that strength, had the opportunity to sell, and got out. It doesn't matter if bulls pile in. Everybody else sold. And that would just not be a good sign. So bullish news for the Tesla traders if it can actually hold above this. 245 covered call tomorrow. Let's see what the expected move is for this. I know we were expecting, a $17 move on Tesla. I'll just pull the whole thing up. Let's see. Tesla, 1663. So 237 is your expected move. 253.96 is going to be your 2 standard deviations up on this. Almost nailed it. 96. So that's 2 standard deviations. Now, that zone's cool and all, but if you're in the midst of delta hedging and everything like that, any kind of squeezes like that, it's going to blast right through that, because what we're thinking in that zone is there's an area of sellers, and they might just need that for liquidity purposes if they start delta hedging. If there's because a lot of these 240, let's just call it the 240 calls. If you bought a 240 call at the beginning of the week, the market maker had zero issues. It had zero worries about you. Like that peasant probably just bought it because it's cheap, right? And all likelihood, that thing was going to expire worthless. There's just no reason to it. If you don't understand deltas and every true meaning and how you can use deltas, you have some options homework to do. It is not just the underlying moves a dollar. That's how much the options contract goes. That's where the YouTubers stop because that's the depth of their knowledge. Like your 15 deltas had an 85% chance it is going to expire worthless. You had a 15% chance it's going to get there. This was probably more like a 5 delta. So 95% chance that market maker had no worry about you. But you get this beat, you get the surprise. Now we're outside. That 5 delta is now a 50. Now there needs to be some hedging that needs to take place, right? It's not an exact science. It's obviously an algo. But when you go out and buy a 50 delta and at the money call, you are long 50 deltas. Deltas, hard deltas are shares, soft deltas are options. You're still long 50 deltas. The option, the market maker that helped you fill that order is now negative 50 deltas. He needs to be at a neutral delta. They don't have a foot in this game. So what he'll do is he'll go out and buy 50 shares. Now he has at a neutral delta. Well, they didn't buy any shares to worry about your contract, but now they do. So anybody that did have those options contracts that are now at the money or close, you got to rein this thing back in, or they got to start buying some shares to account for that. And that's when you get just a bunch of buying that could take place and absolutely send it. Let's see. All right. Let me do a couple more. Actually, let's talk about just the Magnificent Seven before we get out of here. We're going to burn through it. Tesla did well. Meta sold off, and that's it. That's the weird part with Meta. It's a good thing I went long TQQQ, the NASDAQ, and QQQ calls, because if I did that in Meta, I wouldn't be talking about a green trade right now. Microsoft sold off, kind of bounced and held. Again, got outside the expected move, hit that magic yellow box, sold off. Coincidence, right? NVIDIA sold off, came right back up. Could be testing that zone. NVIDIA could probably chill for a little bit anyway. A lot of these bounced. Meta didn't, which was weird. Apple bounced out of zone, got outside the expected move, hit a zone, and then bounced. Reined it all back in. Could have been a decent play. Not when Apple's just not really on my list ever. Doesn't typically move that much. It's a slower one. Plenty to go there. Google still had a little bit better of a bounce. So all of these kind of contributed. And for everyone that says it's the fundamentals, it's the news, stop. I want to use this as an example. Stop chasing the news. Did all of these companies have bad news today? Every one of them? Or was there just some selling? And if that's the case, why are you worried about having a subscription to 95,000 services and being the first one to hear the news? That news was packaged, wrapped up with a bow, and put in your face for a very reason. And I'm bringing this up for a point because there's a lot of it coming out. And when there's a crash coming, let me just show you one more time. Most of you guys thought most of you guys' idea of when the Rona crash happened is actually wrong. And I'm sorry for everyone that's heard this a whole bunch. This is the Rona crash. Why is this circled and not this? I talked about this. I specifically told you guys, tomorrow, if that happens, it's bad news bears. And I literally called it to the actual day of this sell-off. But I was really talking about this. There's a lot of good news, and you need to have exit liquidity. If you're going to get out of a position, you have a meaningful position, you need to sucker some people in. You need to talk about your longs. You need to talk about how everything's going to go up, how there's going to be no landing, how the market is just going to be forever going. And when all of that starts to come out, that's typically when they're getting out. You'll find out later in the filings, but you'll find out even harder when it's your portfolio that's down. And I think a lot of this is coming out. I think we're about to enter the that kind of vacuum up. And maybe all this is for nothing. And so what? You got to be long until it changes. But how fast can you change gears when it does change? So that's why I want to say keep it in the back of your mind and remember what the news is actually doing. All right. I do have to wrap it up. I do have to get to my group right now. This is supposed to be a quick one. But anyway, 35 minutes. All the same. Long story short, TLDR, if you're just now tuning in, I kind of think we're going to be up. I don't think the sell-off is here right now. But I will say that horizontal pattern is breaking. Well, already broken. So keep an eye out for any lower highs. I think an actual, at least, and I mean, if we get off lucky, a correction is coming. Again, a correction, 10 to 19%. A crash, 20% or more. I'm on the crash. I think next year we're going to have a crash. It's going to be the reset switch. That does not mean touch your 401ks. Leave those alone. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Make sure you do all the cool things, guys. Hit the follow button, and I will see you guys. If you did just tune in, guys, you can, especially on the TikTok side, you can go to YouTube at Don Fron Trading and watch all of it from the beginning. But I'm gonna wrap it up here. I will see you guys all probably tomorrow. Have a good one.